I believe in me.
I believe in me.
I believe in you.
I believe in you.
Stand strong. You are powerful.
Stand strong. You are inspiring.
We are fighters. We are ambitious.
We are extraordinary. We are conquerors. Simply straight talk, our voices will be heard.
This is Simply Straight Talk. Tune in now, you don't want to miss out. Real conversation, plenty motivation. Keep you thinking and still entertaining. Yeah, I know that you'll enjoy the mottos. Free your voice, it's your choice. Hosted by Reggie B, but you already know. And you gotta check them out and how we roll. Hey, ain't nothing off the table. Give it to you straight. Changing your mindset, talking past mistakes. You ain't gotta wait, time to take off. This is Simply Straight Talk.
Welcome to the Simply Straight Talk podcast. It's Melissa, and you're listening to a podcast about real life. And you know, between me, Reggie, and Angelique, it's about to get real. Each week, we deliver the best hard-hitting topics on relationships, mental health, parenting, business, and anything else that promotes self-care while keeping it real. We care about what affects you. Now let's start this show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Simply Straight Talk Show. This is your man Reggie, and listen, let me just say thank you to everyone for continuing to tune in and check out the show. Much appreciated. And I definitely want to show you guys some love back, so we got something special coming up real soon. But without further ado, let's move into today's topic. Man, what has life taught you? That is today's topic. Now keep in mind, as we have this discussion today, I'm sort of going to play the devil's advocate on some of these things that we're going to talk about. Because when it comes to life, okay, we all know that life is a continuous learning experience. Now, some experiences are more emotional, while others are physical. But throughout our lives, we keep getting up, we get knocked down, we pick up important lessons along the way on how to motivate ourselves and keep ourselves going. Now, some of these lessons will also come from observing what we see other people go through, what other people face in life. And then we also get, taught some things based on life experience, based on what other people tell us. Now, no matter how much we learn from the books, there is significant difference between practical and theoretical experience. You got to admit that. You can read as many books as you want. Everybody has a theory. Everybody has an idea. But when you are in the fire, the situation is totally different. It is very easy to look at somebody's situation from the outside and say, this is what you should have learned. But the person who's actually dealing with that and fighting that fire from within, they're going to have a different experience that they're going to take from it. So there are going to be different lessons that they're going to get from it. And their lessons could be a little more deeper. Furthermore, there are many life lessons that we simply cannot learn until we face certain situations in our life. No matter what people tell you, and it's good. I mean, you're getting advice. You're opening yourself up to kind of hear what other people say about things they've done. But until you face certain situations, you just can't really grasp it. Now, many people would say that there are some lessons that come too late. Catch us off guard. We're unprepared. Now, when you get older, I think people who are older will agree that, yeah, there are certain things that they wish they would have learned or have experienced at a younger age, because the recuperation time and the time to bounce back would have been more to their advantage. Whereas when you're in your 20s, maybe your 30s, and you are kind of learning a life lesson, you kind of get where you're going, you fall down, you don't have all the trauma and emotional weight that you will have had for somebody who's in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. So the emotional weight of going through something is going to be a little bit different than somebody in their 20s and 30s. Because you're still young. You haven't lived as long. You don't have as much emotional baggage on your shoulders. So I ask people, what has life taught you? What have you learned from the life you lived up to this point? Regardless of your age, what have you learned? How has this information or these lessons that you have learned, how have they sort of molded your mentality, your character, your mindset about relationships, about finances, about people, about opportunities, about different cultures, about you as a person, about friends? How has the life lessons that you have learned molded you? Have they made you into something that is carrying regrets, extra baggage that are emotional, wounds, emotional wounds? Maybe some physical scars that when you look at it, takes you back. That is giving you the mindset that you have now created a lesson in your life that one has become a wall that you build around you because you don't want that wound to be opened up again? Or has it become something to where it's just more where you distance yourself? You're more private. You're more reserved. You don't share. You don't open up to others. What has life taught you? Has it taught you not to trust people? Has life taught you to always be in defense mode? Has your experiences taught you that relationships don't last? Has it taught you that there's nobody really out there for you, so you just need to play around? Has life taught you just to get what you can get at any expense, any cost? Has it taught you to put yourself first? Has it taught you self-preservation at the expense of others? What has life taught you? That all men cheat, all women are out for money? What has life taught you? These are the things we got to ask ourselves. Because we all hear things that people say. Everybody says something about life and life advice. Like I said, I'm going to play the devil's advocate with this thing because you got to understand that when it comes to life lessons, what has life taught you? How are these things that you have gained, that you are saying these are your life experiences, this is life taught you, how is it benefiting you in your life? Now, I've heard people say the biggest thing you need to accept in life is change. You got to accept change. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with that. I mean, because to be human is to undergo constant change. It's going to happen. You may not like it because there's some things you want to stay, you don't want to change, but other things you do want to change. And oftentimes, when things change in our life, it can be somewhat disruptive. It can either leave you feeling lonely, it can leave you feeling hurt. I mean, because think about it. Friends change. People's dreams change. You know what I'm saying? Your body changes. And we're talking about change right now. We're talking about the change of your mind, your mindset, how you see things, how you see people, how you feel about, relationships, friendships, jobs. These things happen because of our experiences, which we create our own life lesson of how we are to deal with people, how we are to interact with people. So change is a part of life. And people say, my life lesson is I've learned to accept change. Some people is like, I'm not going to change, but the people around me have to change because I've changed too many times in my past and I've gotten burned for it. It's not going to happen again. Another thing that some people say is a life lesson is forgiving themselves. Forgive themselves for things that have happened. Forgive themselves for what they've done, what other people have done to them. So, because you will hurt people you love. And it's not always intentional. It's not always like you're trying to. And, you don't want to do it. You're going to say things that's going to hurt people. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to disappoint people. And you're going to blame yourself, especially if you lose a friend or you lose friends. And people, you got to think about that because it does affect you. As hard as we try to play it and tough as we try to be, we do have regrets when we lose things and we realize that it was our fault. We could have did something different. Has life taught you to forgive yourself? So now that is, do you know how to forgive yourself? Are you willing to take the steps to make that life lesson a reality. You said life has taught you to forgive yourself. What does that mean? Does that mean that you are mature and responsible enough and accountable enough to approach the people you hurt and let them know, like, listen, I did this. I'm sorry. I can't say we'll get the friendship or the relationship or whatever back, but I just want to make amends. I just want to speak my apology to you face to face and let you know I was wrong. Because you can't forgive yourself if you have not sought forgiveness from the other people or acknowledge the fact that you did wrong somebody. So part of forgiving yourself is giving other people the opportunity to forgive you. Now, even if you offer that olive branch to say, hey, look, I was wrong, please forgive me. If they accept it, cool. If they don't, then you've already done your part. That's one of the biggest steps to forgiving yourself, is acknowledging your fault to the person you hurt. But people don't want to do that. They just want to say, I'm just going to deal with it, accept that that person's gone or that problem or whatever the issue was or the conflict happened and just let it go. Self-forgiveness. No, that's hiding. Another thing that people say they learn that life has taught them, like what has life taught you? Has it taught you to apologize? And we sort of just discussed that in the last thing we just talked about, forgiveness. Have you learned to apologize? Nobody likes to be bested. Nobody. Shown out in front of anybody. Nobody likes that. And I think you'll be shocked to see that those two words won't actually damage your dignity. It won't make you half a man, half a woman. It won't make you lesser of a person by saying, I apologize. But some people feel like that. They see it as it's not strength, but weakness. But it's not. The ability to apologize when you're wrong, that's strength. The ability to withhold that, now that's weakness. And not acknowledge the fact that you owe somebody an apology. But these are things that we talk about in life. Like, what life lessons have you learned? It would get better in time. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Some things do get better. Some things don't. I think sometimes we're unrealistic, or we don't properly deal with things the way we should deal with them. Will all things get better in time? Will all emotional wounds heal over time? Sometimes it just lingers. You can just be sitting there doing something and it'll pop up. All of a sudden you're like, dang, you feeling a certain way. You in your feelings about something. Other people may not understand it, but you know what's going on. There's just going to be days when you feel like the world is crashing down. You feel like you're in darkness. You don't know how to step out of it. And people say, oh, just give it time. But it's like they don't understand the struggle that you're dealing with internally, okay? And you're sitting here wondering, like, when will I get past this? How will I get past this? Because the one thing that life doesn't teach you is the answer. Life will always give you a question. It will always put you in the place to where you have to question certain things. And you may even have to question your own actions and behavior. But the answer does not always come. We hear all the time. We hear it all the time. Stay in faith. Oh, it's going to come. Find your passion. Go after your dream. A lot of people don't know what their dreams are. A lot of people are stumbling around trying to find out what their passion is. So for a lot of people, it's about answers. Life is always going to throw a question at you. It's always going to throw a problem at you. But very rarely does it throw an answer. The answers you have to search for. You have to look for. So what has life taught you about finding answers? Because life lessons will always teach you something. But the lessons are only determined by what you pull out of the situation. Because you determine what lesson you learn from a situation. Nobody else can determine that. People always say, well, I bet you'll know next time. And how many times we've been through a situation and we look back a few months or a year later, it's like, damn, I just went through this shit last week. You know, I'm still going through the same thing. I hear it all the time, especially in relationships. People keep saying, I keep meeting the same type man. I keep meeting the same type woman. Clearly, you have not found the answer. And the lesson that you are claiming that you learned about relationships, you haven't learned. That's why I ask people, what has life taught you? What lessons have you learned from life? I mean, lessons that you look at and say, you know what? I am not going to repeat this again. And sometimes people will choose the dumbest lesson instead of the one that really makes a difference. Because I have heard people say, man, I dated this woman. She was a math teacher and she always claimed she know math, but man, she fucked up the finances. Every time I meet a woman who says she good at math, she be killing my finances. By the way, put the kids to bed on this one. She jacked up my finances. So that becomes their life lesson. I am not going to date a woman, okay? I'm not going to date a woman that says she's good at math. And anytime that person meets somebody who says, oh yeah, you know, I'm a math professor or I'm good at math, it's like, oh hell no, bye. But that's simply because emotionally they're thinking about the financial struggles that they had to deal with because they dated two other people who put them in financial debt that they're still struggling with now. So they're associating every person they meet who say they're good at math as a bad match, that they're going to put them down that same road again. But they keep pursuing the same thing. And they keep wondering why their relationships end the same way. But instead of blaming themselves or taking a look at them, let me say blaming is the wrong word. It is your fault. Accountability. Taking accountability for your actions, your decisions, instead of taking accountability for the fact that you are choosing these people to be in your life, you're not pulling the right lessons from life about the situations you keep getting in. That's the reason a lot of people stay in bad situations. But hold on, we'll be right back because we're going to take a little break. Y'all know how we do. We'll be right back after the break.
Don't even think about it. We got more straight talk just for you.
Hey, are you looking for some great music, upbeat and with a positive voice? Well, the song I Stand With You is exactly what you need. This timeless song has a pop version sung by Audrey Carmel. And a reggae version sung by General Steele, now known as Revelation.
Now I know some days you may feel blue, Lord. Trust in your greatness to see you through.
These songs are now available on iTunes and other digital platforms for download. Don't miss out. Get your copy today.
Give life your best, and I know.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back. And today we are talking about life lessons, man. The topic of the show is what has life taught you? Now, this may seem like a light topic, you know what I'm saying? But the truth is, the things you learn, the mindsets you will develop based on the fact, on the lessons you have learned in life and what life has taught you and your interpretation of these things you have learned, it determines who you are. It's going to affect how you interact in relationships, who you select as friends, what career you go into, what type of relationship you have with your coworkers, how you mix and mingle with people, what type of people you mix and mingle with. It's going to determine your drive, your passions, your motivation. It's going to determine a lot because your life lessons are basically what your mind has taken in and said, this is what we're going to apply to this particular situation based on this, based on that, based on how this made us feel, based on the pain, based on the good. These are the things. That is why some people feel comfortable when they drink or use drugs, because they have at some point adopted the mindset of this is a way to cope with it. This is a coping mechanism. For a few minutes, it feels good. And then it just builds and builds and builds until they just keep on doing more and more and more until they can't get numb, and they got to elevate their usage of these materials or substances in order to cope. Because their interpretation of life lessons are these are coping mechanisms. So what has life taught you? How do you apply it to your life? Are your life lessons actually helping you to progress and become a better person? Or are your life lessons restricting you? Have you adopted and taught yourself things that really restrict you about what you can accomplish and what you can do in life? Have you ever thought about that? Are your life lessons really strategic? Are they really logistically rational, good lessons that are going to help you build better relationships, networking, find a better job? Are they actually motivating you or demotivating you? Because sometimes we can adopt life lessons that we think are meant to protect us, and truly they're harming us. I mean, think about that for a minute. Some of the life lessons that you have taken from a situation is causing you to actually have bad relationships. It's causing you to go into such a mode of self-preservation that you're actually either consciously or unconsciously hurting other people because you have adopted this mentality. Some people have adopted a carefree mentality because that's what they have learned. I'm not going to care anymore. I'm not going to get all these attachments. I'm not going to focus. I'm not going to be so caught up in the world, the business, and all this type stuff. My mind and my life is a carefree lifestyle. That means they come and go. And they have no sense of accountability for the people how they lead, the condition they lead people when they walk away. They don't think about that. Because in their mindset is, I'm carefree. You knew that from the beginning. I'm gone. I'm not taking your worries or your suffering or your pain or your hurt. You knew I was carefree. I'm outie. So these are the things we have to think about when it comes to what has life taught you, the life lessons that you have picked up along the way. Are they actually beneficial to you? Now, some people say, take refuge in art and music and literature or whatever you relate to the most. Hey, that's fine. But is that a life lesson that's actually going to help you in the long run? Is it going to help you? Because there's a difference between adopting something that actually helps you to progress versus adopting something that now becomes a coping mechanism that you use as a way to avoid relationships, people, responsibility, obligations. You have to think about that. And we tell people say, learn to let it go. Learn to let it go. That's what they say. Learn to let it go. But you know what? Even I understand that that's sometimes harder to do than the realistic aspect of doing it. When people say, let it go, she hurt you, let it go. He hurt you, let it go. Yeah, I understand. And they are right to a point. Because I do believe that you do need to deal with those emotions. I believe that you need to understand what happened, what took place. And you can't hold on to that for the rest of your life. But everybody doesn't let go of things in the same way. So what has life taught you about letting things go? Has it taught you just to bury it? Has it taught you just to, put it underneath, the rest of the problems you got and just bury it down deep? That's it. Don't ever deal with it. Just bury it down deep. Pretend like it never happened. That's unrealistic and is unhuman. So when we talk about what has life taught you, We get some hypocrisy in some areas. Sometimes they say, now this is a big one for men. They say it's okay to cry if you're a man. You can cry. A man comes home, he cries in front of his woman, now you're weak. People see you crying, you're weak. This is where we have some of the hypocrisy. So what has life taught you about crying? And how does that apply to your mentality today or how you see things? Has people telling you that you cannot cry made you shelter your emotions? Have people telling you that it's okay to cry made you over emotional? Because there has to be a balance between the two. And many people won't understand that. And then you still got to deal with the outside world where some people feel you shouldn't cry. Other people feel it's okay to cry. But what has life taught you? Because crying is an emotional thing. It could mean that there could be a cry or a tear for joy. Or it could be the fact that you're crying because you're hurt and you're in pain. How has life taught you to deal with that? And not just say, okay, it's okay to cry. It's all right. How do you deal with what's behind the scenes? What's going on internally and mentally? How do you deal with that? Because you have to. These are the things that we have to learn and understand as people, that there are lessons that you are going to be taught in life. There are things that you are going to have to learn, but how you interpret it, you got to interpret your life lessons for the longevity of your life. How are your life lessons moving you forward? Are they restricting you? I asked you that in the beginning. Are your life lessons restricting you, or are your life lessons helping you to move forward? People say, well, you need to practice empathy, sympathy, and kindness. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. But what has life taught you about that? Because for some people, showing empathy, sympathy, and kindness has taught them that they're going to get ran over, that they're going to get burned, that people are going to see them as weak. Have you adopted a platform in life that your life lesson is, okay, I can show these things, but I have boundaries. And I understand that I recognize when people are abusing my kindness or my sympathy or my empathy. See, these are the things that you have to do when it comes to life lessons. You can't just have a vague life lesson. Life lessons cannot be vague. They cannot be general. Things life has taught you has to have a deeper meaning. And you had to have a deeper understanding of how it affects you in the long run and how it affects the people around you. Like I said, and I always use relationships as a good example, because all of us thrive on relationships in some fashion, be it girlfriend, boyfriend, friend, whatever it is. We thrive on some form of a relationship with somebody, and you value those relationships. But the thing about it is, if you can't develop a deeper understanding of your life lessons, where did they come from? How do they apply to your life long term? You're going to find that you're going to be constantly unhappy and unsatisfied with the relationships and people in your life, because they're not going to understand. You can tell somebody, yeah, I learned my lesson. I'm not doing online dating anymore. That was a mistake. But you don't tell people the truth. Well, not necessarily the truth. You don't tell the whole story. The whole story would be, yeah, I was trying online dating, and I was dating, I was talking to these 3 guys. I was trying to see which one was the best one. And, one guy got mad because he thought it was just me talking. So he didn't want to talk to me anymore because he thought that it was just me. He didn't know I was dating all these other people. And then the other guy, he was a bit of a thug. I liked that little hard edge on the guy, but he was a bit, possessive and mean. And then the other guy was a bit, sort of passive. So I just didn't find what I was looking for, but they both had that sort of hard edge that I really liked about them. But then I tried another dating site, and then it was the same thing because I wanted somebody with a little hard edge. People never tell the whole story. So your life lesson about you will not use dating sites because you had a bad experience. Instead of taking a step back, like, okay, I'm on this dating site. I kept looking for a guy that was sort of hard around the edge because that's what I think I like. But when I was having it, getting it, I didn't like it. So instead of you adjusting your mindset to understand where your decision making and your preferences needed to be adjusted, you didn't want to do that. So you keep repeating the same cycle. And this is what we say, and this is why I say, when it comes to figuring out what you've been taught in life, the lessons that you have adopted, that these are my life lessons. This is what I have been taught in life. This is what I have learned. Are you looking to the deeper or seeking a deeper understanding about it? We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that question.
We'll be back with your host, Reggie, on Simply Straight Talk.
Hey, you guys. This is Bourgeois Latte with Latte Java Drips Radio, where we serve it cool while making it hot. We serving drips and giving you some podcasts and Java vibes of independent artists from all over the world. So head on over to www.lattejavadrips.com/LJD Radio to hear what we are brewing.
Are you ready for the straight truth? Reggie, what's the final word for today?
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the final word of today's show. Today's topic was, what has life taught you? And in this question, I really wanted you to think about some of the life lessons you have learned and how you apply them to your life. And I want to ask you, have you really tried to figure out a deeper understanding of why you have the life lessons that you have chosen for your life, the things you believe apply to life in general as a whole? As I stated earlier in the show, this really does affect your relationships, your jobs, how you interact with people, be it friends, coworker, family, and other people. You have to take your life lesson for just more than an initial basis for the circumstances. You know, if somebody hurt you, you can't just say my life lessons is I'm never going to date this type of person, woman again, or man again. You can't say a person who works in this job is like this or like that. We have to apply our life lessons with a deeper understanding by first understanding us. What got us in that situation? What made us feel the way we feel, that we felt that this is going to be the life lesson that I am going to apply to my life? Have you considered how your life lessons impact those around you? Do your life lessons make you feel like you have to isolate yourself? Does it make you feel like you have to put yourself in self-exile? Does it make you doubt your abilities? Does it make you lack confidence? Because sometimes we can create life lessons that just make us accept mediocrity. We accept the smaller things in life because we don't believe that good things are going to happen. We don't believe that there's anything bigger or there's nothing better, because where we are right now is where we're meant to be. So that's why I say, think about your life lessons. Are they good lessons for the moment, or are they long-term lessons? Oftentimes when we get in situations, many people don't see the internal fighting that we're dealing with. They only see from the outside of either what we tell them or what they assume is going on. So they don't see our real struggle. They don't see our real hurt. So they don't see why we have adopted this lesson and said, like, this is the lesson that I have got out of life. Life has taught me this. But life lessons often don't come with answers. Life lessons are pretty much just something I think is going to protect me from getting into a similar situation. So you have to go beyond a life lesson and seek answers. And the way to seek answers is understanding the circumstances. Now, I know at times we don't like to revisit certain circumstances, especially when we've gotten out of it. But that helps you to evaluate, was there a change needed in me? Was there something about me or my choices, my decisions that sort of put me in the situation to where I have this life lesson that's hindering me? It's making me angry. My life lesson is about being angry. My life lesson is about distancing myself when certain people or certain situations arise, or when something triggers me. My life lesson is to respond this way. But is that response one that is going to help you really achieve and be successful in life? These are the things that we need to understand about what we have decided and actually made our national anthem of life lessons. They can make you bitter, or they can make you positive. They can make you angry, or they can make you happy. Your life lessons have to be more than just a phrase or a slogan. It needs to be something that incites where you have grown and found understanding about how it's applicable to your life. I can't talk. I've been talking too much, but it helps you to understand how it fits in your life. And it also helps you to understand where you can make better decisions, what you can do to really push yourself forward when you even don't feel like going forward. So this is what I'm saying, guys. That's why I'm asking you, what has life taught you? Have you sought a deeper understanding of the lessons you have adopted in your life? Hey, that's it for today's show. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be back next Friday with another episode. Thank you for checking out the Simply Straight Talk Show.
That's it for this week's episode of the Simply Straight Talk podcast. Be sure to sign up to our email list at simplystraighttalk.com and follow us in your favorite podcast app so that you don't miss our next episode. Wishing you a wonderful day from the Simply Straight Talk crew.
Simply Straight Talk with your host Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, alright here. Oh, Simply Straight Talk.